I'd like to acknowledge the people in the gallery, and I met with Broden, Claire, Sam and Tanya yesterday of Tinny, and I'd just like to state that this bill is long overdue. It will finally provide a mechanism for transgender persons to acquire official recognition, a birth certificate of their true gender, and this is unfortunately taken 22 years, which I believe is outrageous. And Dr. Lydia Foy, who first sought a new birth certificate to show her gender as female as far back as 1993. Unfortunately, she was refused, and in the time-honoured tradition, the state commenced a battle through the courts, and the state indeed persisted even when a High Court judge declared for the first time that Irish law was incompatible with the European Convention on Human Rights. And it's deeply disappointing that the state chose to continue appealing decisions until the summer of 2010. And it's also disappointing that nearly 5 years after that has passed before the introduction of this gender recognition bill. Dr. Foy and her solicitor Michael Farrell and the Free Legal Advice Centres are to be commended for their work in getting us to this point. And the publication of this bill is very welcome, and will start the process of ending discrimination against one of the most marginalised sectors of our community here in Ireland. On a personal level, many of us are not familiar with the issues with which this bill addresses, and perhaps it's because of this lack of familiarity that reform has taken so long, and that so many people have had to endure problems caused by the law and by attitudes which the law has reinforced. It's difficult to imagine the challenges that trans persons face, but we have to try. We have to try and imagine what daily life can be like for a trans person in a world in which gender is so demarked. We have to try and imagine what it's like when one's feelings, one's identity and one's sense of self does not match the physical attributes on the outside. And it's only when we attempt to do this that we can begin to enact legislation that is meaningful and effective, legislation that will tackle problems and challenge discrimination. And it's clear when reading this bill that some people need to make a greater effort. The bill contains positive measures, but there are also glaring deficiencies. The bill is positive because with the bill, Ireland would finally join every other country in the European Union by putting in place a provision for recognising transgender persons. However, from meetings with TINI, the Transgender Equality Network of Ireland, with parents of trans persons, with constituents, it is clear that there are several areas of concern, and these issues need to be examined. And I appreciate others may have commented on these, but I would also like to put them on record. The first is the condition that a person be single before being able to avail of the provisions of the bill. In fact, this condition will mean that the state is seeking to break up existing relationships against the wishes of partners. And I realise that a yes vote in the forthcoming marriage equality referendum, which I dearly hope happens, will negate this condition. While we're working towards securing this, I would urge the Minister to reaffirm its commitment to removing this passage or this condition without delay if the referendum succeeds. The second issue concerns the age requirements in the bill. The bill does not apply to persons under 16 years of age, and this is despite the fact that many trans persons are aware of their true gender long before the age of 16. It can be a very challenging time for families, and some parents have great difficulty with acknowledging it. Everyone must remember that gender is not a choice. We need to re-examine the bill so that we introduce legislation that helps both parents and the child, and a provision is needed so that parents can make an application under this bill on behalf of their children. And the third issue is medical recognition. Whilst the best system of recognition would be one similar to Denmark, which is based on self-declaration, this bill could be improved with the amendments to Section 2. I urge the Minister to widen the definition of medical professionals as set down in Section 2 to include general practitioners. A person's GP is very well placed to assist in meeting the medical criteria of this bill, and I note that the Irish College of General Practitioners would welcome such an amendment, as indeed would the IMO. And finally, Minister, I would acknowledge your commitment to review this legislation after 2 years. However, I think it can be in everyone's interest if the legislation could be reviewed after 1 year. Indeed, given that it has taken over decades to get to this starting point, any further delays in enacting the effective rights-centred gender recognition legislation would be completely unacceptable. And again, I'd like to commend you for your work on this, acknowledge the members of the gallery and their campaigns over the last number of years to see this bill to this stage. It's regrettable that it has taken so long, but I look forward to the committee stage in next week and safe passage after that.